Stress. What is stress? Well, I think stress can mean a lot of different things to different people. We all have different stressors in our lives, both in our everyday lives, work, families, juggling all of that. Stress is actually a really powerful emotion, and you might be really surprised to know that the impact it really has on our bodies. And stress basically, in a nutshell, yes, it's a powerful emotion, but it's also our body's response to outside forces or stressors that impact our physical, mental well-being. And sometimes stressors can be from our everyday lives, financial problems, stress at work, family, but it can also be more traumatic experiences, a death in the family, a divorce, a traumatic experience, a fire, or some other kind of natural disaster. So some of the effects that stress actually has on our body is really quite remarkable when you think about it. So when we're under stress, our nervous system is immediately stimulated, and we release hormones. You might have heard of cortisol before. It's actually called the stress hormone. That's released in our system, and then that forces sugars to be released into our system, which then wreaks havoc into our bloodstream. And then lastly, too, our hearts are really impacted by stress, and stress is actually one of the leading causes of heart disease. Our blood pressure is increased, and it just puts so much strain on our hearts. I want to talk a little bit about some terms relative to stress. Optimism. We've all heard it before, but what does it mean? Well, in a nutshell, optimism, we could say it's, looking at the glass as half full. When you're expecting good, positive results out of any situation, always looking on the bright side, that's what optimism is. Self-efficacy, well, that kind of ties into that not only are you expecting a really good result, you're really believing in yourself that you can do what you need to do to actually get to that result, and that you have faith in your abilities to do that. And then there's something called hardiness, and this is kind of it ties into both of the other two traits, because not only do you have those two traits, but you also tend to have like a really good support system in place. You have really good tools and skills that you put to use, and you use them. You have good communication. You have good skills with not just communicating, but coping skills. Those are not skills that we just are born with. And people that might fall under this category tend to be more healthy too, because they're using these skills, so they're not getting as sick, and they're taking good care of their bodies. So why is it important to manage stress? Well, sounds like if we could put some of these skills to work, we would probably all be a little bit more healthy. So I would, for our overall health and well-being, mentally, physically, spiritually, so we could lead the most productive, happy, fulfilling lives. So that's a really good reason to manage stress. Doesn't mean we're never going to have it, but perhaps if we develop some skills to use, we'd be more equipped to deal with those and be more healthy. So I have a lot of stressors in my job. I work in human services. I take care of people. I manage group homes, 35 people, 10 clients, very stressful job. A lot of medical issues and crises seem to happen, so it can be a very stressful job. I would say primarily I tend to be more optimistic and think positively, and I have a lot of tools in my toolbox that I use on a daily basis, and for me a lot of it is managing my time, carving out time in my schedule to get caught up, and so I'm not so stressed at the end of the week or the end of the month. And I have a really, really good support system at work, I have to say. I have a very supportive supervisor and coworkers, and we support one another really well, and I think that makes a huge difference in my job. Some ways that I manage stress, and everybody probably has different ways, good or bad. Some people might drink or smoke. I don't do either, but I don't always have the healthiest of habits either. But one thing that is for sure is we can't ignore stress. It's just not going to go away. We can't ignore it. I'm not a professional, but that might make it worse. So I think definitely having good support around you, talking to people, and learning how to control your emotions, staying positive, optimistic. That old saying, think positively. It does help. It's not always easy though. Time management is another coping or way to manage stress. And sometimes just walking away or taking a break, listen to music, things like that can calm you and kind of recenter you back to where you need to be. I hope this was helpful. Thank you.